Now, from the studios of Into Tomorrow in Miami, this is ITTV.
Our next guest is with a company that manufactures dog containment and tracking systems, allowing dog owners to take their virtual fence anywhere. Delighted to have the VP of Engineering for a company called SpotOn Virtual Fence, Sung Vivathana. Sung, welcome Into Tomorrow. How are you, sir?
Thank you, Dave. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you, and glad that you could join us. Tell me first a little bit about the whole pet industry and why you guys got into that market, and then let's get into what SpotOn does specifically.
Well, according to the American Pet Products Association, consumers spent around $95 billion in pet products last year, roughly of which 30 billion are pet products.
Wow.
So we thought there was certainly a market there for us to develop something that was really of value in what people needed, which is, keep their pets safe.
And of course, a lot of folks say, well, the best way is an actual fence, not so much a virtual fence, but that's not always realistic, I guess, right?
That's true. Depending on, maybe the neighborhood you live in, a fence may not be allowed. But if you are in a neighborhood or a property that allows for a fence, and if you want your dog to roam, building a physical fence is very expensive and costly, and also costly to maintain. So we wanted to come up with a solution that could give you an alternative to a physical fence.
And of course, a lot of people want to allow their dog the freedom to roam. And if you've got a big property, then why not? Which then brings me to the SpotOn fence. Are there limitations in terms of distance, for example, before we get into how it all works? But if you let your dog have that freedom to roam, can you still keep track however far they go?
Absolutely, Dave. So, part of the pet's natural curiosity is to sniff around and roam and to be curious. And with the SpotOn virtual fence, the limit is your in your mind. There's no limit to distance. You can create a fence as large as you like. We have fences that average from 1 acre to hundreds of acres to be able to let your dog roam.
Nice. Now, let's talk about this virtual fence. Is it something that you have to implant wires or something around an area, or is something the dog wears? Give us an idea.
So, unlike traditional systems, there are no buried wires or base stations that you have to set up. It's just a collar that the dog wears, and to set it up, all you have to do is put it in learn mode and walk the exact perimeter you want to contain your pet. And once you're done, you click save. And that's one of 10 fences that you could have on the collar. So It's highly portable and flexible.
So you could even then go to a dog park. There are many more of those popping up, and I guess do the same thing, walk the perimeter or portion of that dog park if you want to keep the dog there. How does it keep the dog in the virtual fence?
So that's a great point. And just a little addition to being at the park, instead of walking a custom fence, you could actually create a circle on the spot. So there's an instantaneous circle of there's probably 10 different sizes that you could create on the spot, and put the collar on your dog right away and let your dog go play. And the way that the fence keeps your dog contained is, as your dog approaches the boundary that's set, there's a series of tones. One's called an alert tone, and the second is a warning tone that occurs to let the dog know that they're approaching the boundary. And if your pet is trained, which we have 3 custom training plans to help you and your dog learn the system, they'll understand what those tones mean. So you don't necessarily have to be at home or in a familiar place. The dog is trained to those tones. And if your dog does breach the boundary, they receive what's called an optional static correction, which is something that is a stimulus to be able to truly keep your dog contained. And that's been a tried and true method for several decades now.
So the static correction is basically, as we may have known in the past, I guess, as kind of a shocking collar to some degree.
Yes,
that doesn't cause harm, but lets them know you mean business. Don't go further.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. It does not harm the dog. It tells them that they have reached the boundary that they've been trained to.
Gotcha. Do you have one of the collars handy to show us, since we're doing Zoom interviews as well? Then you can give us an idea of how big it is. Oh, okay. But describe it for those listening on the radio first who haven't yet seen the video, and then folks can come and see the collar as well.
Yes. So this is our medium size, and it's adjustable, and you could adjust it to fit dog necks down to 13 inches of circumference, and this particular size fits up to 17 inches. Oh. So it fits most medium-sized dogs. And here you have a button, 3 buttons, and a display, and you can navigate and select which fences you want to activate and deactivate, as well as create that circular containment I mentioned earlier.
Cool. And what does the display show us at that point? I mean, it's obviously not for the dog to see, but is that part of how we would be setting up one of these 10 fences, for example?
That is correct. Yeah. If you go into learn mode, it'll give you the step-by-step directions to create a fence. And what's great about it is doubles as a kind of a dog tag. So once you set it up, you could have your dog's name and the phone number should somebody see your dog and want to be able to contact you.
Oh, okay.
And also on the screen, there are instructions to, while you're creating the fence, say, for example, in a lot of our customers at the moment, they have properties that are on a body of water. And what they love to do is include the body of water in as part of the containment. So when you are walking and you get to the shoreline, you could hit what's called the pause button. What they usually do, get in a kayak or canoe and go out in the water, and they'll click resume, and it'll create that part of the fence and include the body of water. So they'll be able to let their dog use this, remain contained, as well as enjoy themselves and go swimming. And we know dogs love water. Yeah,
of course. And most of them want to go into the water, and you don't want them to not be able to do that if it's part of your property or an area where they can. And yet it still will not let them go out too far, it sounds like, because if we're in the kayak or something initially setting it up, we are setting that actual boundary.
Correct. Yeah, it will. As far as the dog owners feel safe for their dog, they'll go out as far as they need to allow the dog to swim happily. Sure. And not get too far, as you mentioned. Yeah.
So I'm assuming then that it's also using GPS technology, because how otherwise would it know how far out in a lake you may be?
That's right. Absolutely. It uses not only one. So GPS is one satellite system. Our product is unique in that it tracks 3 different satellite systems. So you have much more coverage and better accuracy.
Oh, very cool. And before I forget, how much does it cost, or how does it start? You mentioned different sizes, so give our audience an idea as to what they might be spending for the SpotOn fence.
Sure. So the value of the collar is its portability and flexibility, and that you can take it with you anywhere you go. The product retails direct online on our website for $1,495. And it comes with an app. So if your dog does somehow escape the containment, you get a notification on your smartphone right away, and it instantly starts tracking your dog, and you can go find exactly where your dog is in short time.
So do they have to then leave that containment area, or can you find out where your dog is at any time, even within the containment area with this app?
Both.
Okay, terrific. It sounds like a lot of technology behind it, which is obviously why we have you on the show to talk about it. $1,400 seems, I'm imagining some of our audience going, yikes, the dog didn't cost that much. So, the justification, of course, becomes the fact that it can take care of the dog, and you mentioned all the different things that it can do. But why so expensive? Is it, got gold lining or something? Or
No. So, we're based on our research, we're finding that a lot of families consider their pets as part of a family member.
Absolutely.
And because they're a family member, they're willing to invest in their family member to keep them safe and happy. And so if you look at traditional systems that are out there to either build a physical fence, as we spoke about earlier, or another system that buries wires, you're talking for a half acre or an acre, you're talking at least the same price.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And it doesn't give you the flexibility to take it with you and be portable. So once it's fixed and installed, it stays there. So you lose that investment if you move. Also, they don't give you the notifications if your dog does leave the containment area, and it doesn't allow you to track it. So with all the added benefits and features, we felt that that was a value add and a comparable starting point to other systems.
Well, it makes sense, and you bring up some very good points too. I'm now envisioning that if one wants to take their dog to a friend's house, or they go on vacation, and they're at an area for a period of time where they might set up one of those additional 10 fences, that can be very handy. You certainly can't do that with something that you've had to bury into the ground in order to set up a fence of that nature. Let's talk about during this pandemic. Has there been some additional advantages to having SpotOn as an example, or it does its job regardless?
Oh, Dave, myself and my family are one of many families who have either adopted or purchased a new pup during the pandemic. And so we realize the numbers, and we realize people are finding and adopting pets. And because the pandemic during that time frame, it did not offer in-person training, our custom training plans basically that were developed to help you and your dog create a much better bond. So if you're spending more time together and trusting each other, then the success of the product goes a lot further than just keeping your dog contained. It's really building that bond and that relationship and that trust. And because the in-person services were not quite allowed, our training plans, which are tailored for the family and the owners and their pups, that has made it very successful.
Oh, very good. Well, it makes sense by all means. I like how you can create a fence, train your pup, and stay connected, as your website says, SpotOnFence.com. How long has the product been out?
We launched in January of 2019.
Okay, so you've had some successes for almost 2 years now, huh?
Correct. And we are working on our next generation based on, any consumer electronic company. We learn from our customers, we listen to our customers, and we want to make them happy and provide them with even more features and give them the ability to spend much more time with their dog.
Sure. So version 2 will be available slightly into tomorrow. Can you share with us any additional features that it might come with? Or what are some of the things that your customers have said, if it could cook breakfast as well, that would be awesome. But barring that, what other kinds of features?
We've learned that, there are so many types of dogs out there, breeds, sizes. So we're really taking and listening to our customers about the size and the weight and kind of how much battery life. Those real world issues that we're taking into account and making the next version much smaller, lighter, and better. Just like everything else in technology, you always have to improve it.
Yeah, and that is a good point and very valid point, because tech in general not only continues to get better, but if they're devices, they continue to get smaller as well. And you mentioned battery life. Is this something that you have to change batteries? Do you plug it in via USB at some point to charge it up when the dog's in the house? Or how does that work, and how long does it last generally?
So that's a great question, Dave. So we're trying to be, part of the modern times and a responsible company. We want to be, we want to make sure that we're socially adhering to the guidelines of being friendly to the environment. So, we don't like using replaceable batteries that you just buy new ones and throwing old ones away. We do have a rechargeable battery, and part of the system will come with a charging cradle that you could just put the collar on the cradle overnight, and it'll be ready to go for you in the morning. And so, based on a lot of our research, most folks let their dogs out, an hour or two a day, maybe a bit more, but you could generally get a continuous 24 hours of runtime before you have to recharge it again.
Oh, very good. And I can imagine that most dogs, when you lift it out of the cradle, get excited. They get to go outside now. And, and that's kind of one of those things, is like grabbing a leash, and they get all excited and run to the door. In this case, taking it out of the charging cradle, they know they're getting ready to go outside. That's pretty cool. We appreciate you spending a few minutes with us. Very cool product. By all means, keep us informed as you come out with version 2 or anything else that SpotOnFence.com might have available. I'm assuming you can order from your website, and is it available at pet stores or other places as well?
So right now we're just direct off our website, but we're working on new strategies on how we could bring it to market and get it to folks in other channels.
Okay.
So, more to come on that.
Terrific. Well, Sung, thank you for being with us and sharing your technology with us and having it available to show us on the interview as well. That's important, and we appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it. And take care.
It's our pleasure.
Stay safe.
You, by all means, you as well. SpotOnFence.com for more information. Of course, when you visit us at intotomorrow.com, you're a mouse click away from their website as well. Do check it all out and check out the videos of all of our radio interviews that we're doing these days to show you the products and to let you see who we're talking to. Again, it's all at intotomorrow.com.